Now that we've got our repository, it's time to get to work on our project, and that means making commits to the repository that we just created. So we'll start by creating a new repository. I'll just use the My Really Cool Project example from the previous video. Let's create a README file. That's always a good place to start on a project. I'm going to use the Nano text editor for this, but feel free to use whatever text editor you prefer if you're following along. Then we'll save the file. In Nano, the command is Control-X. We'll say, yes, we want to save changes and accept the file name. Now we've created a new file in our repository. How do we commit that change? Well, before we can commit it, we'll have to add the file to the repository. This lets Git know that the file is important to the project and should have its changes tracked in the repository. As you might guess, we accomplish this with the git add command. But why do we have to do that manually? Should the version control system just automatically track everything in the directory? It's actually pretty useful for us that it doesn't work this way. This functionality, although it may seem like an unnecessary step at first, allows us to keep some files outside of version control. Not everything that you do in a project will be fit to share with others. Maybe you'll keep your personal passwords for the project in a file, for example, and you certainly don't want to be sharing that with others. So now we've added our README to the project. All we need to do is commit our changes. We'll make use of the git commit command in order to do that. You can see that it's opened a commit message template in my default text editor, which again is Nano. It lets us know that lines beginning with the hash sign are comments and contains some information about the commit. It lets us know who is making the commit, what branch we're on, we'll talk more about that later, and provides a brief description of what we changed. You can see here that it has our one change listed. We added a new file named README. Don't worry if some of the information on this screen looks confusing. We'll cover a lot of these details later. For now, the important thing to note is that we need to provide a message for our commit. It's generally considered best practice to keep these messages short and meaningful. Short so that they're easier to read, and meaningful so that we know exactly what kind of changes were made. For this commit, the commit message is easy. We'll just use added a README file. We see a success message here, letting us know that the commit has been made to the repository. We also see a message about our name and email address. An important part of working with version control is making sure that the system knows who you are. That way, if people have questions about a commit, they know who to get in touch with. By default, it tries to guess this information on its own. But Treehouse User isn't a very helpful name, so I'll just go ahead and change that real quick. Like the message suggests, we'll use the git config command to set these options, using the global flag to let Git know that we'd like these changes applied for all of our repositories. I'll set user.name to be my name, and user.email to be my work email address. So now we've gotten a file added to the repository, but it's not much of a README, is it? Let's go in and add some more information. And we'll save our change. Okay, now we've made a change to our file, and we have to ask ourselves, should we commit it? This is always kind of a tricky question. My rule of thumb is this: is there a good commit message that we can use? If so, then we probably need to commit the changes. Of course, I could always put something vague down for the commit message for this. I could say, added stuff to README. But that isn't a meaningful message because it doesn't tell us what kind of stuff was added or why we added it. In this case, I think we can use the message added project mission statement to README file. That seems reasonable to me. It's short and meaningful, so let's go ahead and commit these changes. The more often that you commit, the more detailed your project history will be, so it's important to commit every time a good opportunity presents itself. We'll use the git commit command again, but this time we'll use a couple of shortcuts. First, we'll add the -a flag, which is short for all. This flag tells Git to commit all of the changes it can find. Second, we'll add the M flag. Remember last time we committed, we had to edit our commit message in Nano first? The M flag stands for message and allows us to provide the commit message to the git commit command directly. We'll just make sure it's in quotes and type it in right after the M flag. We see another success message, and that's it. We've made a few commits to our repository and are well on our way to getting our project going. Most of the time you're interacting with Git, you'll be doing it by committing changes to the repository. But how do you know when to commit? That's the harder part. You might have to feel it out a little bit. When a change is done isn't always obvious, but it's probably a good idea to err on the side of committing stuff more often than not. In time, you'll get a feel for it, and the most important thing you can do is get in the habit of committing regularly. In fact, let's go ahead and practice a little more.